Peace and love, it's your boy Don Kilam, and welcome to Dream Keepers Radio, that private life podcast. You're here, tuned in with your boy, and this is brought to you by Follow the Yellow Brick Road by Don Kilam. Search the book on Amazon now. Go get the book and uncover the matrix and how the United States is operating in the financial marketplace. Much peace and love. Peace and love, it's your boy Don Kilam, also known as Malik Kilam. And as always, prosperity is your divine birthright. What's happening and tuning in from my private office, man. Got a virtual office. This is all included, man. If you're part of the private community, you already know where it's at, man. Hit your boy up at the private office. But today, we're going to talk about foreign versus domestic. Foreign versus domestic. And this is private versus public. Foreign versus domestic. Private versus public. So before we get started, let me let you know I'm not a licensed attorney or tax expert. I do this for educational and informational purposes only. If you need competent counsel, make sure you find you one, all right? Because this ain't that. But foreign versus domestic, man, public versus private. I get trustees talking to me all the time, and they're not my trustees, but trustees out in the real world. They're not understanding what's going on. When you hear foreign, you think internationally, and that's okay. That is part of being foreign. Domestic is at home, part of your own country. And I hear trustees all the time talk about how they're traveling. You know, I have a lot of people that travel to Belize, Cayman Islands, a lot of different places, Caribbeans. But you have to understand when you're traveling, is it a family vacation or is it a business trip? Because if my trustees, they're going to understand that this is all business, the family business. They're going to understand how to write this off as a business trip and make it business. It's not a family vacation. Well, I mean, if you want to look at it as such, but when you're writing it on the books, it needs to be a business vacation. It needs to be a business trip. So a lot of people don't understand that when you have a domestic trust, you cannot use this internationally. You're going to use it at home. Domestic is of home. You're going to use it in the country. A lot of people not understanding this. Domestic is public. Domestic is of the public sector. Foreign is the private. Foreign is the private sector. Foreign is private contracts. So domestic is public. Domestic is putting your assets. If there's domestic assets, that's putting it in the government's possession, making the government property. When you're talking about the Social Security number, the Sister KY trust, that is a domestic trust. When you're talking about just regular LLCs, that's a domestic trust. S-corps, domestic trust. When you're getting permission from your Secretary of State, that's a domestic trust. When you're getting permission from your government, when it's in the public, that's domestic. Foreign is private. You want to protect your privacy, you're going to have to learn how to do it in a foreign capacity, a superior foreign capacity. And the way things are looking right now in 2024, you're seeing foreigners are having the lead way, having the right way. And it's always been like that. You can go in any hood. A lot of people don't know. They're not in the hoods. They wasn't raised in the hoods. We can go to any hood and you can see who owns the liquor stores. It's going to be foreigners, Arabs, foreigners. They're foreigner on paper. Africans, they're foreign on paper. Look at China and Chinatown. They have their own towns as foreigner. And we need to get like the Chinese people, Chinatowns, and have one in every city. But a lot of people don't think like that. So domestic is public law. This is what a public attorney, if you went to a public attorney and asked them to draft you a will or a trust, they're going to do it domestically. They're going to do it within public law. So you're going to need permission from the government to move around. You're going to need permission from the government to even administer that trust and will. I want you to know most, not all, but most countries do not favor domestic trust. Most countries do not favor domestic trust. Foreign trust doesn't have public law. A foreign trust is contract law. Within a foreign trust, within a private family foreign trust, a lot of people, we need to talk about that today. Family trusts are foreign. The government doesn't recognize family trusts. You got to understand that, but we all know about it. We all know that the families hand down wealth. And that's because it's outside the scope of the public sector, part of the economy that the government controls. The public sector is the part of the economy that the government controls. Public banking is the part of the banking system that the government controls. When you're banking with the public, Bank of America. Credit unions are private. That's part of the private sector, but they still operate on private contracts. All right. A lot of people need to understand this. Just Google these things. Fact check me. Contract makes the law in the foreign trust. And I hope that makes sense for everybody. So I'm going to say it again. I need this to make sense for everyone. Contract makes the law in a foreign trust. Contract is the law. If you have a prenup, contract is the law. You can have your own private marriage agreements. That's law. When you're invoking the government, when you're invoking the public, domestic, this is part of the domestic trust. Public trust, private trust. The public trust is domestic. The private trust is foreign. This is what I need everyone to understand when you're hearing this foreign entity, foreign nationals. Everything foreign is outside the scope of the government. Being Amish is foreign. They're foreigners to the United States corporation. They're foreigners to U.S. citizens. Just like being Chinese, so is being Amish. So is being Moorish. So is being Jewish. They're part of their own congregations, part of their own private communities, part of their foreign entities. So when you're establishing these foreign entities, all right, it's part of the corporate veil. And a lot of people say, if the company's doing something wrong, can the company veil be pierced? And the answer is yes. That's when the government steps in, is when you're hurting. You know, if you're not doing anything wrong, you can do what you want. All right. So corporate veils can be pierced if you're doing anything wrong. And that's what happened with Trump. But based on the contracts, do the books have to be revealed? And that's what you have to think about. Because things can be pierced. But it's contract law if the books have to be revealed. So a foreign entity can hold domestic assets. I'm asked that a lot too. Can a foreign entity hold domestic assets? And the answer is simply yes. A foreign entity can hold domestic assets. Now, can a domestic entity hold foreign assets? And I would say yes and no, but check this out. I wouldn't do it. But this place is a challenge because it puts the assets in public view. And anything in public view, the government claims to own. Anything part of the public sector, the government claims to own. A lot of people need to understand that and understand that. It's own nothing, control everything. But if you're putting things as a person, a persona, a person, a legal, fictional entity owned by that Social Security number, you're using the Social Security number, you're a domestic asset to the United States corporation. You can look these things up. 28 U.S.C. 3002, subsection 15A, United States means federal corporation. And I do have my phone on me today, so let me look this up. Because I want y'all to look this up. U.S. business means U.S. citizen. It's an actual code. U.S. business means U.S. citizen. And that is going to be United States business. Is going to be under 15 U.S.C. 4724E1. 15 U.S.C. 472, 4,724, 4724E1. 15 U.S.C. 4724E1. United States business means a United States citizen. United States business means a corporation, partnership, or other association created under the laws of the United States or any state, including the District of Columbia. United States business means a foreign corporation. When you're establishing it as such under their laws. So this is why you have to understand the private sector, the private family, private clans, private tribes. I don't even use the family word. That's what they are. They're servants to the government. That's the government's family. They use the word family. And a lot of people don't understand that. And all you got to do is look up the etymology. Look up the etymology of family. I need everybody to do that for me. So you can understand. I don't even use the word native. Native means in bondage. Native means servant. So family means servants of a household. Members of a household, the estate, property, the household, including relatives and servants. So when you're coming in with the public trust, you're coming in claiming a persona. The birth certificate is showing that you're their maker. They made you. And I stated that wrong. They're showing that they're your maker. A birth certificate shows who your maker is. I want that to sink in and just think about it, because you're not supposed to make a covenant outside the one in your only higher power. You don't make no covenant outside of God. They're playing God here on earth. A lot of people don't understand that, but that's their job in the public sector. Even in the Bible, it tells you who's going to rule the land, who's going to rule the earth. All right? We're not going to get deep on that today, but you have to have a clear understanding of that. I stress this over and over and over again. There's no history book. There's no religious book that ever said the government was for you. All right? Their job is to make sure you own nothing. Their job is to make sure that you leave your children nothing. You cannot leave wealth behind with a Social Security number. The number dies with you. They administer your affairs when you're operating in the public. I need everybody to understand that. So foreign countries do not deal with most domestic entities. A domestic entity to them means liability due in part to the United States is under bankruptcy. The United States is in bankruptcy. $27 trillion to the public trust. The Social Security public trust. Google these names. Who owns the United States national debt? Google this. I like to go to thebalance.com for that information. Now, even with a family trust, a regular family trust, it needs to be foreign. A regular family trust is foreign. So when it comes to local authorities, they do not recognize family trust, and it is foreign, and it is private. You don't want them to recognize your trust. But contract law is law. You have to learn how to enforce it as a trustee, as an administrator. A trustee is an administrator. With the Social Security Trust, Social Security Trust Administration, they hire the government. The government is your trustees. With the right private family trust, you're not even going to have to reveal even beneficiaries, trustees, grantors, anybody. Some private banks we deal with only ask for the successors. And that's very important information. So domestic means that the public created the law for your trust. Domestic means that the public created the law for your trust. That's your Social Security number. That created the law. That's legislative. That's what you're administering. You're acting as a beneficiary, and you're acting as an employee for the trust. Co-trustee, co-beneficiary. When you're under the domestic trust. Everything is contract. So I'm telling you, it's that simple. Do not overthink it. Everything is contracts. Whether you're contracting with the United States government or you're contracting with your private family. You're contracting with your private tribe, your private congregation, your private church, your private clubs. Sam's Club, Facebook, terms and conditions. We have community guidelines. That's your community, common unity. Who is your unity? Who is your common unity? Who are you unifying with? You're under a domestic trust or a private trust. Domestic means you're invoking one of these jurisdictions. Whether it's the county, look up what the county means. A lot of people don't understand this. I need people to understand this. I need people to understand royal titles. You're still under royal titles. Look up what a shire is. So when you look up county, it's a shire, a definite division of a county or state, jurisdiction of a count.
We'll be back after a quick break.
In a world where borders can limit opportunities, one book dares to challenge the norm and empower foreign nationals like never before. Introducing Can't Touch This: Diplomatic Immunity as a Foreign National by best-selling author Don Kilam. Did you know there is a difference being a citizen and national? This is for foreign nationals seeking to expand their horizons. Do you dream of obtaining a diplomatic passport and the freedom it brings? Don Kilam reveals the secrets to unlocking diplomatic immunity and creating your own nation. Discover why you are already a foreign national, learn the steps to obtain a diplomatic passport, and explore how you can be recognized by numerous nations on your diplomatic journey. Most never knew they could have diplomatic immunity as a foreign national. This book is a game changer for anyone seeking freedom and recognition on the international stage. Get your copy of Can't Touch This today and embark on a journey towards diplomatic immunity and creating your own nation. Order your copy now and unlock the power of diplomatic immunity as a foreign national. Can't Touch This: Diplomatic Immunity as a Foreign National by Malik Kilam. Available now at leading bookstores and online. Get your copy today.
I need everybody to understand what account is. When you hear the word account, but account is someone that works for the king. I'm looking for it now, y'all. But a shire, look up what shire is. So when you're part of the county, when you're invoking the county, you're invoking the shire, administrative office, jurisdiction, stewardship, directly under the king. This is kingship. You gotta understand titles. So you gotta understand you're not a trustee if you're allowing someone to administer your life. All right. So with a foreign trust, they still give notice. The gentleman gives notice. It files things in the county as well with the county, but there's no jurisdiction that can outdo its immunity as being a foreigner. There's with our private contracts, with our private trust, our privacy will always be invoked for grantors and beneficiaries. In the same way with dealing with private banking, we know a lot of private banks, they only ask for the successors, like I stated. They need to know nothing else. This is the private side. This is the foreign side of banking. A lot of people are stuck in a public mindset, the public banking mindset. A domestic trust comes with a position that is prefabricated and it comes from the government. Domestic trust comes with a position that's prefabricated and it comes from the government. The foreign trust comes from the family, the tribe, the clan. It's private contracts. Private law versus public law. The private sector versus the public sector. And then we have the voluntary sector. Everything is voluntary until the government turns it public when you're dealing with them. So you got to learn how to volunteer the right family trust information. You got to learn how to create your family Bibles, your baby land deeds. Keep record of your own family. Keep record inventory of your clothes, your car, your house. These are all assets to the family. You got to learn how to make the family in control of these things. It's no longer yours. You give it up for the family. You work for the family. The family serves God, and that's why we have our private family foundations, our PMAs, our private ministry associations, our private member associations. You can be a private member of the family, not even outside the family. There's certain things you have to abide by to even be part of this private family. Blood doesn't make you family. The contracts do with foreign entities. I need everybody to understand that. The foreign trust versus domestic trust. And I want to touch a little bit on status correction because this is what people need to understand. Status correction, also known as political status correction. And I don't want people to make it hard for themselves, all right? When it comes to political status correction, it's gonna let the world know what jurisdiction you operate under. Are you foreign or are you domestic? So when it comes to status, that's identity, status, and then standing. Identity, status, and then standing. Identity, who are you? Status, once you're identified, your status determines your citizenship class. And then standing, your status determines what you have rights for. So U.S. citizens only have certain rights. American nationals have unlimited rights. All right. A U.S. citizen can't run a stop sign. An American national on the common law side, as long as you hurt none, you can do as you will. So you must understand status. If your status as an American national, your rights are going to be different as a federal citizen. As a federal citizen, your rights will be granted under federal states or codes. As an American national, your rights are granted under common law, contract law. So here's some examples of political status. I need everybody to understand this. This is examples of political status. U.S. citizen. a resident, a state citizen, American national, a non-resident, a foreign national, a tourist, secured creditor, single, married, dependent, taxpayer, African American, Black, non-Hispanic, Mr., Mrs., doctor, judge, all these things, officer, are considered political statuses, all right? Now, standing, in the general sense, is a determination of your rights per your status. Proper standing is to present itself to be heard with a court standing, and it has requirements such as injury in fact. It must have suffered or will suffer, causation, and redressability. So the court can resolve this matter properly. An example of proper standing with the courts are going to be plaintiffs, defendants, attorneys, called witnesses, and friends of the court. And then when it comes to public versus private, all right, there's always going to be an agent, there's always going to be attorneys involved, all right? Understand who a power of attorney is. You don't need a bar card. You don't need a licensed attorney to have a power of attorney invoked. Coming up, as a child, when you're growing up, your guardianships. So guardianship is a key word too, and your powers of attorney are your parents, but they can sign them over to a public attorney, which takes you from the private to the public. So I need everybody to understand that. Anytime there's attorneys involved, they represent agencies, all right? They're the registered agent, all right? Attorneys are usually the registered agents. For personas, all right? So, but do know the difference between bar attorneys, the British Credit Registry, all right? Bar attorneys, there's no such thing as a license to practice law. Secondly, when it comes to the public, all my trustees need to know the difference between legal and lawful. All right. Legalities come from color of law. Attorney of law means color of law. And of means without. So color of law means color without law. You're either white or black in their system. There's no nationality. And that's why as a U.S. citizen, you're white or black. And that determines your identity and your status and your standing. And that's why I'm bringing this up. When it comes to the public sector, when it comes to domestic trust, it all started under the Cestui Act of 1666. It even goes back further than that. But what we're under directly right now, if you're utilizing a birth certificate, the birth certificate, like as I stated earlier, proves who your maker is. In the private, we're going to utilize baby land deeds. We're going to utilize family Bibles, family Bible records. All a Bible is record of your family tree. All a baby land deed or a patent and nativity is record of your family tree. A baby land deed is showing that there is baby on the land. There's a new man or a new woman on the land. So I need everybody to understand this when you're utilizing the public system. Your mother allegedly abandoned you at birth, and they have your mother sign as the informant and not the father on a hospital birth certificate. The certificate volunteers a change of status. In the beginning was the word. The ultrasound can be compared to the tracking of a package that will be delivered soon with an expectancy date. So once delivered, the newborn is the maternity ward. They put the newborn in the maternity ward and is now considered an infant. An infant is a ward of the state. So as your mother, as an informant, a person who informs on another person, the authority, and they sign your record of live birth. So allegedly acting as a trustee of the executor, and the executor is your father, all right? I need everybody to understand that. Now, so they put you in a system. They pledge you to be public property. Now, judges wear black robes and the Pope wear white robes, and they are deemed to be your father, all right? Until your proper political status is corrected, which the church uses a family Bible or a family record and can be used for records and identification. This is all based from a system dealing with full faith and credit. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because the Bible is a fact in the courtroom. You swear upon the Bible, but you're really supposed to affirm. But they have you swear upon the Bible. And it's to claim it, make you claim your birth certificate. In other government contracts, you show your status as a Roman citizen or slave, and you shall own nothing, your rights are given to you. And the birth certificate is putting you at a Roman slave status. That's what it's making you. All right? There's no absolutely any reason for the father not to be on birth records except for religious. Matthew 23:9. And call no man your father on earth, for one is your father, and even he who is in heaven. So the First Amendment clearly prevents the government from adding his name, prohibits the making of any law respecting an established of religion or impeding the free exercise of religion. A lot of people haven't thought of that. So I'm just breaking down a little bit about the private side and the public side and how they're mixing it together. The Bible, when Jesus speaks and he's living, the living words are always in red, the color red. And I need everybody to understand that. So when you're handing down your lineage and you're volunteering information, it's always in black and white. It's always in black ink, and black represents the dead. All right. I need everybody to understand that. So that's just a little bit about status and how it ties in with your private side and your private family records. So you need to create family Bibles, because family Bibles are can be used as records, as identification. Look these things up. Affidavits of live birth. You can create your own affidavit. These can be used as records. Look these things up. Baby land deeds. Look these things up. These are the things you're supposed to use when you're contracting with the public. All right. You need to use your own private contracts first, or you're going to be defaulted to the public contract, and you're looking as a United States citizen, which we've already established. United States citizen means U.S. business. United States business. If you're a U.S. citizen, you're a United States business. So you need to figure that out. With that, I'm out, man. That's the game. Much peace and love. Remember, prosperity is your divine birthright. Much peace and love. Before I go, though, I need everybody to follow the Yellow Brick Road. Follow the Yellow Brick Road by Don Kilam. This is a must-have book, breaking down the game of America's financial system back in the 30s, because we're reliving it right now. History always repeats itself. We're reliving this right now. So this is a must-have book, a must-read. Even my guy behind the camera said he had to read it. With that, I'm out. Much peace and love.
In a world where the tax system can seem overwhelming, one book is here to guide you towards financial empowerment. Introducing The Capitalizing Namepreneur, Unleashing the Power of Tax Credits by best-selling author Don Kilam. Are you looking to demystify the complexities of taxes and harness the power of tax credits? The Capitalizing Namepreneur provides an understanding of effectively utilizing your tax credits. Discover the secrets behind setting up a tax firm, understanding the strawman name, protecting your assets, and navigating the implications of the Social Security Trust Fund. Don Kilam's expertise shines through every page. It's like having a personal financial advisor by your side. Get your copy of The Capitalizing Namepreneur today and unlock the power of tax credits to enhance your financial well-being. Order your copy now and take control of your tax strategies. The Capitalizing Namepreneur, Unleashing the Power of Tax Credits by Don Kilam. Available now at leading bookstores and online. Get your copy today.